Hi there everyone, this is Dr. Schroeder with this week's video introduction to week number 3 of our course in the Principles of Staff and Patient Education. And once again, a very nice week of discussion this week. The discussion primarily focused on the differences in nursing standards and CE credits from state to state and jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And each of you had identified your state nursing practice, what the requirements are for continuing education in your state. And one of the things, of course, that really popped out and what was the focus of a lot of discussion is how much variation there is. And there really is a lot of variation from state to state. Some states, as we learned, have no requirements for continuing education. Some, although it's not always apparent in the boards of nursing website. Oftentimes there's no requirement for continuing education. However, states may require nurses to work a certain number of hours at the bedside during the licensure period, and then it is really incumbent on the hospitals to provide oversight for them. And so there's kind of this sort of like an indirect continuing education where even though it's not necessarily something that the nurses are responsible for and have to save their CEU credits for, they're working in the hospital, so therefore it's assumed that they're getting those education requirements that are required by the state licensing boards for the hospital. So that's, even the states that don't have a licensure requirement, that's really how they're meeting that need. So it doesn't really matter what the state board requirements are. What is important is that all nurses have to we have to keep our licenses up and we have to keep our education up. So that's why education is an important topic, and that's why this is an important discussion question. I practice primarily in California presently, although I also do practice occasionally in the summers in Arizona, and I've practiced recently in Arizona. I'm also licensed in Nevada. Now, those 3 states each have different requirements. Arizona is a compact state, so with my Arizona license, as that's my primary nursing license, that is a state that opens me to several other states, and we talked a little bit about the compact states as well. So once again, very good week of discussion. I will be grading the discussion questions, I would imagine by midweek sometime. And it brings us on to week number 3. Week number 3, we touch on what really is a very important topic when we're talking about staff and patient education, and that's the nurse as leader and the nurse educator as leader. This is very important. A nurse educator, kind of going back to the first week of class, we talked about the different roles that nurses take. Anytime we have a nurse that is working as an educator for an organization or in a nursing facility or a hospital, they are part of the leadership of that hospital, or at least part of the leadership on the units. There's different levels of staff educators. Some hospitals, depending on the size, they may have an overall head of staff and patient education, and they are part of the hospital leadership and management team, and then they have unit or department educators working under them who work as part of the education department but also cross over as being part of unit leadership, because they're the ones that are overseeing and, for example, training the charge nurses, training the staff at the bedside. They're training at all these different levels. And so the concept of leadership is very important. And so we're going to talk about this week primarily in our discussion question and in the paper that's due this week, is to talk about nurses as leaders. What are the different leadership styles? What leadership style do you maintain, or do you think would be the style that you would change to affect change in your organization and affect change that comes through patient and staff education? The leadership styles are really the same that you probably learned in your nursing leadership course as well. There's different styles of leadership and different theories for leadership. The thing that I would just say here at the outset is that leaders are not born, they're made. Leadership is like anything else. It's a learned skill. We all learn to become good followers and good leaders. And there's different models of leadership. And so I'll leave it to the reading of the vestibule text primarily to talk about that. But just to kind of sort of get us up a jump start, be thinking about what your own leadership styles are. How would you define it? And is it an effective leadership style for the kind of nurse educator that you want to be? So once again, I look forward to participating in the discussion questions along with you. I look forward to answering any questions that you may have and offering my own insights. I hope everybody has a wonderful Mother's Day. I'm actually recording this a little bit early on Saturday. I'll be posting it in class on Sunday. So if you see this on Sunday, you'll probably be seeing it on Mother's Day. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. Have a great week, and I will look forward to seeing everybody in the discussion forums.